All right, camera's rolling for clip 2, video 2 on the Hell on Earth series. Now, this isn't actually Hell on Earth. It is actually something that I want anybody that is purchasing a home after the age of 40 to really consider, because I know that this can become a very, very massive issue when you get to retirement age. So I want you to think about this before you purchase a home, because this is one of the reasons why I see retirees actually get into financial trouble, because they didn't consider this when they bought their home. So you need to think about this before you buy your home, otherwise it could spell trouble down the road. And I hope that you believe me, because the majority of people that we deal with here are basically between the ages of 55 and 70. And our main job at K4 is to help people understand, if they're going to be able to retire properly, and help them make the right decisions through retirement to sort of maximize income, reduce taxes, and make sure that they're going to be okay. And the reason that I thought about this video is the other night I was just watching The Office, reruns of The Office, and it's the episode where Michael Scott decides that he's going to be a homeowner and he's going to buy a house, and he's like, I only have to pay this for 10 years. And his realtor's like, no, your term is 10 years, but you have to pay it for 30 years. And all of a sudden he freaks out, and Dwight's making fun of him and saying, you're still going to have a mortgage at 70 years old. So the typical retirement age in Canada is 65. That's when, regular CPP and OAS kicks in, if that's when you're going to take them. And then you're just topping that up with, retirement savings, RSPs, TFSAs, pension plans, whatever. But the struggle is, if you still have a mortgage in the early years of retirement, you have to really eat into your savings in order to keep making those mortgage payments, because you're going to have to be taking more out of your RSP than you want, paying higher taxes than you should be, because you need a higher income to be able to afford to keep making these payments until you're mortgage free. Now, certainly there are some options when it comes to this. You could say, if I own enough equity in my home, I could re-amortize over a longer period of time to reduce my payments in retirement, and that would help. There are other things you can downsize, but typically this isn't something that's going to be an easy decision or something that you really want to do. So preferably, I want you to plan to be able to afford to be mortgage-free at least by the date that you retire. So if you're buying a house at 40 years old and you have a 25-year amortization, great. You're going to be mortgage-free the day you retire. Unbelievable. But let's say you're buying a house at 45 years old with a 25-year amortization. $500,000 mortgage at 5.5% is costing you just north of $3,000 a month. When you're 65 to 70, you're going to need to be able to create an extra $3,000 worth of income every single month just to make your mortgage payments plus your living expenses when you no longer have employment. That sucks, and it really hurts your retirement. So when you're buying a house, think about what you can afford to pay off by the time you retire, rather than what can you afford to pay each month based on that 25-year amortization. So same thing, we'll just go through a couple numbers. So if you're 40, you buy that $500,000 house or have that mortgage of $500,000 at 5.5%, you're paying $3,056 for 25 years. You're mortgage free. You're kind of in the clear. But if you're 45 and buying that same house, if you want to pay that off by the time that you're retired at 65, you need to increase your payments to $3,424. If you're 50 years old and you want to buy that same house, and I see this happen all the time, people are like, I'm making really good money in my 50s. We can afford this great house that we've always dreamt about. but then you're potentially not mortgage free until you're 75, well, you're going to need to account for payments of $4,067 per month, or be saving an extra $1,000 per month into your retirement accounts to be able to afford those payments, one or the other. And if you're 55 and doing it, that number goes up to $5,401 if you want to be mortgage free in 10 years based on a 5.5% interest rate. So a couple ways that you can start to pay down your mortgage faster and hopefully get mortgage free by retirement is you can do accelerated biweekly payments. That means instead of 24 payments a year, you're making 26. That's 2 extra payments a year. You're gonna have 2 months where you're paying a lot more. Money seems a little bit tighter, but that will get your mortgage paid down a lot faster. If you have the ability to do a lump sum at the end of the year, most institutions allow for that, or doubling up payments. And my favorite one, but nobody ever does this, but this is my favorite one to pay off a mortgage and to save, is each year, supposedly, we should be getting raises or earning more based on inflation. So each year, what I would do is say my mortgage payment was $2,000 a month. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to increase my payment by inflation every year. So let's say inflation was back down at 2%. Now I'm going to a $2,040 per month payment the next year. And then the next year, it's $2,084, I believe that would work out to. And then you just keep bumping it up slowly but surely, and that will get your mortgage paid off in like 6 or 7 years earlier than it would just by doing that at 2% increases a year. That's also the same way I feel you should save. So if you're saving $100 a month now, maybe next year bump that up to 110 or 105. I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but you keep doing that and it will really, really add up. So just something to consider. I wish banks would talk about this when they're setting us up for mortgages, is like, let's run a retirement plan for you first and a financial plan before saying this is what you can afford based on GDS and TDS, but can you still afford to retire if you're buying this house? This probably would have helped keep our real estate market a little bit more in check than it has been. So obviously they didn't want to do it because they love lending people money and getting you into debt rather than increasing your net worth based on you actually having money in your pocket. So anyway, something to think about. Hope you learned something. Hope it gives you some food for thought if you're about to buy a house. And if you haven't already, please like and subscribe, and we'll chat soon.